Welcome to North Penn High School. I'm Bert Hines. I'm the principal here, and it's really great to see all of you here this evening. First of all, I want to say an apology to the folks from Penfield who got the message to come out at 7 o'clock, and all of you are here bright and early. Unfortunately, most of the activities at the high school begin at 7:30, so there's just a point of information as you're moving over to the high school. And I know the other two middle schools somehow got the message. I had asked the middle school principals to send out a reminder so that parents of incoming 10th graders would in fact know, or have a reminder that we were going to be here tonight for course information night. And they all did, just unfortunately a little time frame got mixed up in there. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for coming in and just making yourself at home. And to everyone else, I welcome you, and we're glad to see you here this evening. It's hard to believe that we are talking tonight about 2012, 2013, but it's that time of the year already. Tomorrow is the end of the first semester. Monday begins the first day of the new semester, and as soon as we get into second semester, it's time to start talking about course selection. So, the order for this evening, we're going to have a general session in here. I'm going to talk for a little while. Some of the assistant principals, some guidance counselors, a few teachers will be speaking to you. And then we're going to have breakout sessions. We will keep those of you who are parents of incoming 10th graders right in this room. You won't have to go anywhere. Parents of current 10th graders moving to 11th grade next year, we will ask you to move over to the Audion. Parents of current 11th graders, soon to be seniors, we will ask you to move over to the band room in F44. Parents of gifted, you'll be able to move up down the hall. There's a hallway right outside here on the other side of the auditorium, and you'll be able to move down to room E22. So that will happen after we have the general session in here. And we'll be able to take questions and answers in here for parents of incoming sophomores, and that's where we have those other breakout rooms. In addition to that, in the lobby as you're walking in, you see tables set up. By the time we're finished in here, all of those tables will have representatives from the various departments. There were a few precocious departments getting here already. Family and Consumer Science had their billboards set up, I think by 6:30 out there. They were ready to go. They're ready to talk to people about the offerings in the Family and Consumer Science department. There are folks from the tech school here. There are folks from special ed. You probably saw the JROTC, some of our cadets at the door. There's also a table out here in the lobby. There will be art and math, and all of the departments are going to be out there. So if you have specific questions about course sequencing, that will be an appropriate time for you to ask those questions. We're going to give you a general overview in here about course selection this evening. So what's new this year in this program of studies? For those of you who are veterans, you're used to coming and hearing we've got this number of new courses. Technically, we have basically one new course in the program of studies this year, and that's the Intro to Chemistry course. It's going to replace the Chem in the Community course. The course that it is replacing was a 4.0 level course. This will also be a 4.0 level course. They will be different in that this one is going to be standards-based. It's going to be aligned with the state standards. The other one was not aligned with those standards, and we had to make some changes there. So we're rearranging the content there, aligning it to the standards, and renaming it now as Intro to Chemistry, but it is still a 4.0 level course. The honors chemistry is still in place, the 5.0 chemistry is still in place, the Intro to Chemistry falls in there, and then there's also an applied chemistry at the 4.0 level. So that's the big news in the course selection booklet. The other big thing that's coming up, and it's not even in the course selection booklet because it's this new, and we had to send this booklet to print back in December. We had it at the printer, and that's concurrent enrollment. Here's what concurrent enrollment is. It's only for seniors, but that doesn't mean the rest of you need to turn it off and not listen about it, because it's important for you to know, if you have an incoming 10th grader, how they can avail themselves of this great opportunity. Concurrent enrollment says, as a senior, you are able to take college courses at some specific colleges, and we have 3 of them lined up: Montgomery County Community College, Arcadia, and Penn State. And what they are willing to do is take our students, bring them into their college or university part of the day, and the other part of the day the students are here. They will take their social studies and their English and their math and their PE in this building. But some students may be able to go to Penn State Abington in the morning and then come here. Others may be able to come here and then go off to Penn State or Arcadia or Montgomery County Community College. The great opportunity is that it does not impact in one way or another on North Penn's graduation or on your GPA or anything like that. It is strictly an opportunity for students as seniors who meet the qualifiers, and there are some qualifiers there, but it's an opportunity for them to transition to college, get the feel of what college is like before they actually go to college full time. Qualifiers. Seniors will need to have 20 credits at the end of their junior year. That's not going to happen for every one of them. But for those who have been packing their schedules and being diligent, passing all their courses, and are now in great credit shape, and have those 20 credits, it is an option for them. There's another little qualifier. PSSA comes up in March. And for PSSA, those who are proficient in both, not both, all three, reading, writing, and math, that's one of the other qualifiers. You've got to be proficient. We can't send students to college who haven't achieved proficiency. If they're advanced, all the better, but proficiency will do. For this, both Penn State and Arcadia offer discounts on tuition. This is a great sale. It's a 50% off sale, actually. The deal is they will allow the students, whatever their cost per credit is, and it's high, it's not cheap, half of that is what these students will pay. High school students at college earning college credit. It does not count for North Penn High School credit. That's why they need 20 credits before they ever go there. We have a program planned for anyone who's interested in hearing more about that and how it works, and that's coming up this coming Wednesday evening at 7:30. Time is 7:30. We're planning to do that over in the Audion, which as you enter the building, it's the first room on the left. If the crowd is too large, we'll move over here to the auditorium. That seats about 200, 230 folks, so we figure that's about right for the crowd we're anticipating. But if there's more, all the better, and we'll come over here. That evening, we'll do a quick overview, pretty much what I've just done, but we will have representatives here to speak from Penn State Abington, from Arcadia, and from Montgomery County Community College. They will be able to talk about what they can offer. There are limits on the number of courses students can take. Arcadia will limit them to 1 per semester. Good idea for transition. Penn State's a little more liberal. Penn State will limit them to 8 credits per semester. Many of the Penn State courses are 4-credit courses, so that would be 2 courses per semester. And keep in mind, these young folks are still going to be doing their high school credit, their core courses at the same time. So this is a great opportunity for some. It's not for everyone, but it's just another one of the many opportunities that's available and offered through the North Penn School District. So we're very, very pleased with this opportunity. One of the other changes we're doing this year, we're living in an electronic age. And gradually, we move slowly here in the district as we make changes into the electronic age. And one of the things that we're doing, we updated our student management system last summer. With the new student management system, we have the availability, the opportunity to do online course selection. Now before you roll out something that complex and that complicated, we're not going to roll it out for everyone at the same time. It is our hope to be there next year. But this year, we're going to start with the current sophomores, those who are in 10th grade moving to 11th. And we are going to have the teachers make their recommendations electronically through their grade book. And then the students will be able to see what the teachers have recommended by going on to the Home Access Center. And you as parents of current 10th graders will be able to see those recommendations. And you'll also be able to sit with your sons and daughters and help them go through with the course selection booklet in hand or online and go through and see what their picks are. We're also, to give the students time, because this is something new, we're going to do that in their world cultures classes on February 7th and 8th. We're going to leave that window open because at some point we have to close that so we can pull a tally and figure out what students are taking so that we can continue the process here, because what we do through course selection ultimately leads to numbers of sections and ultimately staffing for next year. So we close that window, the electronic window, on February 15th. Now I know that's not the N for everyone. If they want to make changes after that, we allow all the changes they want up until June 28th. But we'll still do that the old-fashioned way and do it by hand. I'll go to their counselor and say, I want to make this change. And if it's in sync with the teacher's recommendation, it'll be fine. If it's not, well, then they're going to have a conversation with mom or dad. So that's what's happening. We think it's a great idea and a great move forward for us. Course selection time, things to think about. Or if you're coming to the high school for the first time, or if your sons and daughters have been here and they're moving into 11th grade or they're moving into 12th grade, PSSA drives our lives. And graduation, PSSA and proficiency on the PSSA is a graduation requirement. Mrs. Turner's going to speak, one of my assistant principals is going to speak a little bit more about that. But it drives what students, particularly those coming into 10th grade, can take. There are students who are currently sitting in Algebra 1. If they get a C or better, fine. If they get a D in Algebra 1, they cannot move on in math. They either get to go to summer school and improve that grade, or get the credit for it, but they have to come up here and repeat the Algebra 1 course and take geometry at the same time, because our goal is to get everyone to Algebra 2 by 11th grade when students have to take that PSSA test. So, if you start taking 2 maths, if you get yourself into an English that requires extra time, suddenly your schedule starts getting very prescribed for you. But those who are in danger of not being proficient on that 11th grade test, we're looking at that through benchmark testing. In reading, we're looking at the SRI, this reading inventory that students will take in the spring, and we're looking at the scores on that as indicators of where they're going to get placed next year. So keep that in mind. If your son or daughter, they say, well, we took a benchmark, we didn't really care about it, we didn't do well on it, that's not a good idea, because it's going to send us the message that they don't know the material. So encourage them to do their best when those assessments come up. What happens? When they come, if they get 1 math class or 2 at the lower levels, they're going to get 8 periods per cycle. The middle schools have Algebra 1, and they have Algebra 1 intensive. We call it extended here. But the geometry, there are some kids who take geometry at the 5.0 level, and they get 6 periods per cycle. There are some who need a little bit more time, and that's the idea behind the 8 period per cycle classes. More time so that they can grasp the concept and get the material. And we've listed up here for you a number of the courses that are 8 period per cycle courses. You will see that in English it's the English 10.4.0, but when you get into the maths, it's the Algebra 1B, it's the Geometry 5.0E, it's the Algebra 2 Part B, and there's an Algebra 2E. So you can pick the Algebra 2 at the 5.0 level and get it 6 periods a cycle, or you get the Algebra 2E and you get 8 periods per cycle. We have other courses that are 8 periods a cycle. And there are students at the other end of the spectrum who need more extended time. Students in AP Bio and AP Chem and AP Physics, in order to get all that material in before the May AP test, they need extended time. So some of those classes are also 8 periods per cycle. Leveling. When your sons and daughters moved into 9th grade, they began to take leveled courses. Now, most of all the middle schools have done away with 4.0 level in English, social studies, math, and science. Some of those are still here in the high school. But leveling is basically for course difficulty, determining how difficult the course is going to be. Leveling also plays into a student's GPA. There's a chart that you see up on the screen right now, and that chart is also in the program of studies, and it explains the value of an A in each level course. An A in a 4.0 is worth 4 quality points. An A in a 5.0 is worth 5 quality points. That's the easy one to remember right across the column. And you can see as you look at this table, what it's intended to do is say that if you're pulling an A in a 5.0 course, you should be able to move up to a 6.0, and the worst thing that's going to happen to you, you should move down to a B. Well, that's true particularly in the high school. It may not always be quite as true for those coming from 9th to 10th grade. We find students in that transition from 9th to 10th grade have a little harder time stepping up a level. They can do it. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I'm just telling you that high school is different in terms of the demands of homework. It's different in terms of the time demands. We do not have lunch study or E3 or whatever the middle schools are calling that extra period every day. We do have 9th period 2 days per week, but it's not every day. And when you couple that with the fact that there is more homework and greater expectations here for some courses, some students have a tougher time coming here and stepping up. They're fine in the level they are. Generally, for our level recommendations, next slide, I already talked about that. For the English and the social studies, if your son or daughter has an A or an A+, we basically say move up. This is just a rule of thumb. This is not set in concrete, but it's a rule of thumb and it's a guide for you as parents. If they have a B or B+, they should consider it if they're doing well, but you have to know your child. You have to know whether, is this a really academically capable student, but they're just not working quite as hard and they could be challenged, or are they working, getting a B or B+, and they're really working hard to get that. If that's the case, then don't even think of moving them up. Just keep them at the level they are. And certainly if they're getting a C, then obviously don't think of moving them up. That's the rule for English, that's the rule for social studies. For science, it's just a little bit different. Very similar. Science has prerequisites that are related to math. And you've got to watch some of the math prerequisites. Students may want to move into a science course, but you can't override into a science course if you haven't met the prerequisite. You're just setting yourself up for failure there. So to keep that from happening, we say you've got to look at this book at the science courses and what the prerequisites are there. For math, there is a green chart that will be available out here in the lobby when you're finished this evening, and it shows all the math courses, and it shows you what the math sequences need to be. And on that green chart, it also shows you what the student's exit grade is, and where they should go if they have an exit grade in this range. If it's A or B, go to this course, but if it's C, go to this course. So the whole sequence there is driven by basically how students are performing in math levels. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Lynn, one of my assistant principals, and she's going to just run you through the program of studies in general.
Good evening. Most of you coming from middle schools, your students may have already brought home a copy of the program of studies. We also had some out in the concourse available for pickup. Our high school students here will be receiving their copies of the program of studies Tuesday in 9th period, so those will be coming home shortly. It is also available online on the high school website under our school's information. So let me give an overview of what our program of studies contains. The prerequisites are listed in the courses, and there's a worksheet on the very back covers, the last 3 pages, depending on the grade level that you're going into, or your student's going into. And you can work through and outline what courses your student would like to take while they're here in the high school. The inside first pages, you'll see are an overview of our department offerings. So for example, we have science here, and here you can see the course numbers are listed. It gives you a quick reference. It's the course offered for graduation project. More information on that will be discussed a little later this evening. It tells you the level of the course, if it's a year-long course, a semester course, how many times per cycle it means, if it's 6 times or 8 times a cycle, as well as the number of credits. It also gives you a quick, easy glance as to what grade the course is offered to, whether it's offered to all 4 grades, if it's just for seniors or juniors, seniors, with whatever combination may be. In the center of the book, if you open it up to the dead center, it will have our overview over a course of 4 pages in terms of our graduation requirements broken out by grade, the required courses, again in 9th grade, the English, social studies, math, physical science, all the way down to our senior courses, spread out to encompass the 10th and 11th grade. And it also gives you a key So when you're looking at those center pages that outlines the courses and their offerings, you'll know what those symbols mean. So for example, here's our music department, and it shows a triangle next to that course, so we know course is offered for all 4 grades, 9 through 12. We have this little running man symbol up here. That is our NCAA logo, and again, we'll be talking a little bit about that shortly. So again, this is just meant to be a quick reference for you in terms of where you can find course descriptions within the program of studies. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Travers, where he can talk to you a little bit about the graduation credits.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight, too. Appreciate it. As you can see up here, there's minimum, we emphasize the word minimum graduation requirements. And if you total them all up, 23 credits is the total number to earn a high school diploma from North Penn. We're happy to report that, you know, on average, our students are going to end up with 24 to 25 credits, you know, upon completion of their high school career. We want to note that English is an every year subject, so is social studies. You'll see mathematics, it's 4-3, science is 3-4. You have to have 3 years of math, 3 years of science, and an additional year of one or the other. There are some proficiency issues that come in that might make it mandatory for you to have math 4th year. Mr. Hines and I are former math teachers, so we kind of like you to have math every year. Credit values. Here's what you want to notice. If a course is a minor and it meets 2 times per cycle, that credit is going to be 3/10. If it's a semester course, it's going to be 5/10. There are certain courses, particularly in the music department, that get 7/10 of a credit. And then what happens is you'll see anything from 1, 1.5, and you can read it up to 2. The 2 credits generally are for our students that attend the tech school. They can earn 2 credits every year for the course program they take over there. And I think Mr. Hines refers to it as seat time. That courses that are 8 periods, that's going to be where you're going to get that 1.3. Promotion requirements, the first one to get to 10th grade, you must have earned 4 credits through 9th grade. The next one's easy. You want to get to 11th grade, you have to have 11 credits. And to become a senior, you must have earned 16.5 credits. Okay, IFE, ineligible for exclusion. A lot of people are interested in class rank, GPA. How is it calculated? It's calculated on 5 majors, but there are certain courses that you take each and every year, or when you take them, they must be used in the calculation. English, always. Social studies, yes, there has to be a social studies. Math, algebra 1, algebra 2, any algebra geometry, up to through algebra 2 must be used. You'll see your sciences, biology, chemistry, they must be used. And when you advance after that, then you can kind of pick and choose what counts into your GPA. GPA is rounded to the nearest 100th. Decimal places. Again, it's based on 5 major courses, but you cannot exclude those courses that have those letters IFE next to them. Courses that earn credit values of more than 1 credit, when you're ranking, they only count as a 1 credit course. It has to equalize course for course. Because then everybody would want their course to be 8 periods, and then we run out of time. For the class of 213 and beyond. So what happens is now, our present seniors are the last class whose GPA will be based on their 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years. For everybody else, our present juniors, our present sophomores, and obviously our incoming, sophomores next year, your 9th grade counts. So we can't emphasize enough. 9th grade, your performance is critical. So it's 10th and 11th. All right, last thing. If you're thinking that you may participate in a college athletic program, there's NCAA eligibility. We'll refer to the program of studies, page 8. It tells you everything you need to know. For next year, right now, any Division I student must have their GPA worked out on what are called 16 core courses. Mrs. Lynn referred to the little running person next to it. Those are what are called core courses. They're the ones that are used in that calculation. You can have more than 16, and the NCAA is so kind that they'll use your best 16. But there's certain areas that must be used. That's it. Done. Now I'd like to turn it over to the lovely Dr. Yeh.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight I'm going to speak very briefly about the college transcript. This is a snapshot of your child's overview going through 9, 10, 11, and to their senior year. Some highlights that I want to mention on here is you're going to see the classes listed with the credit that they've earned and the grade. You do not see on here, but if your child currently is in any form of advanced placement in 8th grade or a language, that would also show up on the transcript. We would make note of that. It would not show up for credit, for grade, but it would show up there so that the colleges are aware that they were advanced in some way. Also down at the bottom, you're going to see the weighted and unweighted GPA that Mr. Travers has talked about. You're also going to see any of the comments below there. Graduation project that was passed if your child is involved in NHS, National Honor Society. Also, we now list activities. So if your child is involved in some activities, that will also be noted on the college transcript. When we're talking about honor roll, that looks a little bit differently than GPA. GPA is your 5 majors that Mr. Travers talked about. The honor roll is all of the classes that is calculated there. It is also on a 4.0 scale, so the highest grade earned is an A+, which is a 4.3, and so on, as noted here in this slide. And as I mentioned, is with all grades all of the courses included, and distinguished honor roll would be a 3.8, and your other honor roll would be a 3.0 to a 3.7. At this time, I'll now turn it over to Ms. Turner.
The Pennsylvania System of School Assessment, or the PSSA, is a state-mandated test. So the state of Pennsylvania requires students to demonstrate proficiency in math, reading, and writing in order to graduate, along with completing their graduation project and required courses. We administer the PSSA every spring, and we administer a reading, writing, math, and science PSSA. In order to show proficiency, students need to meet a predetermined score that the state sets, and they have to show their proficiency by meeting that score. So the question becomes, what happens if they don't score proficient on reading, writing, and math? How does that impact our students? And what happens is that as a senior, they will be able to take a retest for the PSSA. But the 11th grade score on the PSSA really drives the 12th grade schedule. What I said earlier was that the state requires the student to demonstrate proficiency. And you can do this by scoring a certain score on the PSSA. But if you do not make proficiency on the PSSA, you're required to take certain courses to demonstrate proficiency. So as you can see, if you did not score proficient in math, the student has to take a math course and pass it their senior year. And they also have to pass it for 4th marking period. If they don't demonstrate proficiency on the reading or writing PSSA, English Literature 12 classes put onto their schedule, and they must pass that with a minimum grade of C. That will show their proficiency in all the 3 areas, reading, writing, and math. North Monco Technical Career Center provides vocational technical education for our 9th grade students, along with some neighboring school districts. There are 22 programs and 8 clusters at North Monco. They include construction trades, cosmetology, culinary arts, engineering, manufacturing, floral design and landscaping, health and human services, power and transportation, and visual communications. So there's quite a lot of programs available to our students. Our students are enrolled in one of the sessions at North Monco. So 10th grade students are enrolled in the AM session. What that means is that they come to the high school first period and take biology. At the end of their biology class, they go to the tech school. They're there for our periods 2 and 3. Then they come back fourth period and have lunch. After lunch, they remain at the high school and finish their schedule here from period 5 through the end of the day. Our 11th and 12th grade students go to PM tech school. And at this session, they come to the high school and they're here for periods 1 through 5, taking their classes. And then 6th period, they have lunch. At the end of lunch, they then go to the tech school and stay there for the remainder of the day. And as mentioned earlier, they earn 2 credits for a session successfully completed at North Monaco. Next is Ms. Karen Holm.
Thank you, and good evening. It's nice to see all of you here. I'm here to talk about our advanced placement program, and that's one of the things our high school and our district is very proud of. We are received from the College Board recognition, and we are recipients of the 2nd annual honor roll for our advanced placement program. And this is something that as a school we're proud of, and also as a district. What do we offer in our advanced placement program? 24 courses offered to students grades 10 through 12. And these courses really provide a rigorous college-ready program in a variety of subjects. It ranges from art and math and science to English, music, social studies. So it's a wide variety no matter where your student is in terms of what they like to do and where their skills are. We can probably have an advanced placement program for them. The advanced placement course is offered during the school year and really culminates in an advanced placement exam, which is given in the first 2 weeks of May. Those exams then, the student receives a 3, 4, or 5, really enable them to earn college credit. Depending on the college that they end up choosing or selecting, a student can earn credit towards a college course and not take that course, or the student can earn a general education credit, 3 credits going into any college or university. Nowadays with the colleges, you can earn up to perhaps half a year. We've had students come back and graduate in 3.5 years because they have taken so many advanced placement courses. It's really an advantage, both economically and academically, for students to take these courses. If a student then receives a good grade in his or her course and takes the final or takes the advanced placement exam, they're exempt from the final exam we give here at North Penn High School. And you can see the variety of courses up here that we do offer. I'll be out at a table answering any questions. I will have a list of the courses, and there are teachers who teach them. And I would advise you that if you or your student is interested in enrolling in one of these courses, to email one of the teachers who currently teaches an AP course and talk to them about what's required and what the curriculum looks like. So advanced placement, yeah. And now I turn it over to Spence Miller, who is a counselor and heads our College and Career Center.
Thank you. Good evening. 2 topics this evening. The first is summer reading. Probably the big ticket items that I would note is that everyone who's taking an English class has a summer reading assignment. Those assignments will be online starting with, I think it's June 1st. You'll be able to probably go through the high school website and be able to see those. Those assignments are going to be due in the first week, typically the first couple of days, when students return. And these assignments do contribute or count as part of your first marking period grades. Summer assignments are summer assignments for some other courses beyond English. They tend to be higher level classes. And a little over 2/3 of our AP courses do have or require a summer assignment as well. So certainly our students need to be aware of those assignments and the value of the role they play in that first marking period grade. Secondly, we have for several years a JROTC program, Air Force JRO, ROTC. And I guess the high points there that I would want to stress essentially are science credit. There are 3 levels of courses. It's open to students 9 through 12 now. In addition to that, there's the potential for dual enrollment, possibly the courses and credits that would count at the college level. There's also, interestingly, there's going to be a summer program option. Colonel Zachary asked me to mention also that students are not necessarily required their first year to uniform the whole time for a short haircut. A really interesting opportunity. We absolutely encourage students to take advantage of it. Thank you.
Well, I bet your heads are exploding about now. With all of the opportunities, changes, requirements, and other things that you have to juggle when you're thinking about a course selection for next year. I'm here to throw a little additional fuel on the fire and tell you about dual enrollment, which is something we've had here at the high school for many years now. There are courses that we teach at the high school by our teachers. They're listed up there for you to see. And those are opportunities for your students to take courses that are not only high school credit, but college credit at the same time. The courses are very economically interesting. They are at sale prices. And they are in your course of study, in your program of study. And you can take a look and see which ones might be of interest to you. They are available only to juniors and seniors. We also have some courses available that you can take at Montgomery County Community College at their campus. And those are elective courses only. And you can take a look at the Montgomery County catalog and see what's available if you think that that's something that you might be interested in. I'd also like to talk to you about career exploration and work study. Career exploration is an opportunity for students to get an idea, a sampling of what they'd like to explore as far as a future career. They have to have a 3.0 grade point average in order to do something like this. They have to be proficient in all 3 areas of the PSSA. And applications are available in home offices at the high school. And if this is something that you're interested in, those applications are due by April 4th. Also, work study. That is an opportunity for students to explore work opportunities during the course of their school day. And that's a very similar situation. The only difference is that the GPA is 2.5. And I believe there will be a representative here to answer any questions that you might have about that. And now I'd like to introduce Mrs. Colleen Felder, who is here to talk to you about graduation projects.
Thank you. The graduation project is a state requirement, so every student who wants a Pennsylvania State Diploma will complete one before they graduate. But don't just think of it as a senior project. Please understand that the students can begin these projects as soon as they enter our halls. They can come and see me as the graduation project coordinator. I have an office, and I will introduce myself to the students when they get here, and they can come in during their lunch periods to get more information. In the program of studies, it does explain how students can meet this requirement. There are 2 options. The first option, which is very attractive to a lot of students if they have room in their schedules, is to take an elective that offers the graduation project within the course. Those courses have a little graduation cap next to it so that you'll know which courses have that opportunity. Within the course, the project is already part of the curriculum, and it's a requirement that the student receive at least a C on the project and that they pass the course. The other option is to complete the project as an independent project, which is where they will work mostly with me during those lunch periods. It's a self-directed topic, a self-selected topic, and then they come in and they fulfill the requirements by completing the paperwork that I'll provide for them, and I will be their kind of mentor as they finish that, whereas the teacher is in the classroom. The presentations are given on selected dates for the independent projects, and they come in after school, they present to a panel of 3 teachers, and again, they have to score at least a C on the project and all requirements of the project in order to pass. By senior year, if your child has not yet completed a project, We start to hold it over their heads by sweetening the pot a little bit and asking them to make sure they have it done if they want to attend the senior prom. So we hold that as an obligation in the second half of the year, and that usually speeds that little project right up when they get that done. I'll be out in the hallway if you have any further questions. Thank you very much, and I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Brown.
Thank you very much. Is your child an independent worker? They would have extensive computer knowledge? Then maybe virtual high school is for that. It's an opportunity to take online courses that may not be offered here at the high school. Most of them are semester courses, excluding AP Environmental Science, which is a full year. They occur within the school day. They're every single day of our 6-day cycle. If you have any questions, Mr. Burrell, you can email him. I believe he will be out in the hallway. You can find him. You can ask whatever questions you may have. And applications, you can pick them up in your home office, and they need to be attached to your course card. If you are a 10th grader going into your junior year, please just give them to your counselor, because you will not be having a hard copy of your course card. Up above me is the levels and the course codes and how many times they meet per semester, full year. As you can see, 5.0 the course code ends at 5, 6.06, and AP is 7. And with any further information you may need, please go to www.govhs.org. I want to also talk about health and phys ed. Our 10th graders are required to take health physicians, which is a health course, and aquatics. Just a quick word of advice: get the aquatics done, 10th grade here, and get it out of the way. Proficiency requirements may cause health decisions to be deferred until later year, possibly double up in junior year or take it senior year. That is a possible option. All 11th graders will take Health and Society as their health course, and Lifetime Fitness as their physical education course. And then our seniors, you can select 2 of 4 courses. There are choices between team sports, adventure education, personal fitness, and racket sports, and our course codes are right next to them. I'm finally going to give the microphone over to Ms. Lynn, and she'll be back.
Thank you. As I indicated at the beginning, there's a copy, here's a copy of what the course card looks like that's on the back of your program of studies. For our incoming 10th grade, they are course cards. Some of your students may have already gotten them and have started this process with presentations that have been going on, or they'll be receiving them shortly. I'd like to just point out that the teachers are giving their recommendations for the course for each of the subjects. The students are in the middle column, selecting the courses that they wish to take, also outlining the credits or the number of periods. And if we do look to make sure the students are selecting the same level of courses that the teachers have recommended, and if they do not, then the parents and the students will discuss with the guidance counselor the process for overriding that teacher recommendation. Again, there's an alternate column, and we need to make sure that students do list an alternate. As much as we try to ensure that students get their first choice, that does not always happen, and we need to know if they aren't able to get their digital photo that they may be interested in taking Art 2. For our incoming 12th graders, or incoming seniors, the course cards are blue, and again, it's the same setup where you have your teacher recommendations this year with our online course selection process beginning. Teacher recommendations will actually be printed onto the students' course cards for them. But here you can see that the students get to pick the courses they're interested in, but elective choice for their English, social studies, and so forth. They're listing their alternates, so if a student cannot get their women's voices that they'd like, they're indicating that they'd like to get the multicultural. And again, it's a nice way to make sure that you have everything balanced. And they're also selecting down here their phys ed that we talked about, their senior PE, selecting 2 choices, so we know the first 2 choices, but giving us an alternate in case they cannot get one. These are just some things you need to consider with course selection. Students need to select a minimum of 38 periods per cycle, up to 42 periods. If they schedule 42 periods, they will have no room for a study hall. It's a full schedule. If they schedule down to 38 periods, they'll have room for 4 study halls within their day. Again, I can't emphasize enough to keep in mind the teacher recommendation. The The teachers have been working with the students now for half a year, and they do go back and review the recommendations between now and the end of the year. But the teachers are using their professional judgment to determine the appropriate level, knowing what the next course in the sequence will provide. So keep that in mind. Another reliable indicator is the final exam grade. So although the final exams have not occurred yet, when that comes out in June, that's a good indicator for us as to what the students have truly learned in that course. We also know we have some ambitious students who like to hack their schedule, and they say they don't want to eat lunch here at the high school and they want to take another course in place of lunch. But I do caution and remind you that lunch is very important throughout the day, and just to keep that in mind. And prerequisites. We have prerequisites in place for a reason. They are a necessity in order to complete that course successfully, and prerequisites cannot be overridden. Some other factors to consider is for our 10th graders going to be juniors, or even our juniors who are going to be seniors who've taken PSATs, there's that AP predictor that can be used. Keep in mind your students' career interests and use the career planner that can be found online as well to help decide what courses you want to take here. Again, I'll go back to that final exam. That final exam grade is a reliable indicator of the student's knowledge of the course. Keep in mind the requirements needed for graduation, especially regarding our PSATs. We need that 4th credit of math coming into their senior year. And once again, those teacher recommendations. Some of our courses do require applications: our AP Studio Art, our Digital Photo, our Engineering Academy, just to name a few, our Career Experience. Those applications can be found on the North Penn High School website under Our School. You'll see a link for the applications. Also, all the applications are available in the home offices and with the guidance counselors. A friendly reminder to include those alternates. One thing that helps us in the summer when we're scheduling and we just can't get a student schedule to come together is seeing what other options they've provided for us to help with that process. So you need that for both your year-long and your semester courses. I want to give you just a little overview of our calendar here at the high school going forward. Teachers have already begun making recommendations online in their grade books. They're not accessible yet for viewing, but those will be going on between now and through next Friday. Tuesday, our students will receive their program of studies, as I indicated earlier, in 9th period. The sophomores will be doing online course selection and world cultures between 7th and 8th. On the 7th, our Home Access Center for students will be opened up for our current 10th graders so that they can be working on that online selection with their parents at home as well. On Wednesday, February 8th, our current juniors will receive a course card with their teacher recommendations indicated on that. And then moving forward, on the 15th, we'll have the Student Home Access Center will be shut down so that we can move forward with our scheduling process. And the juniors who are completing the blue course cards, because they're the incoming seniors, those will be due by that date. To make sure that all the parents and the students are aware of what has actually gone into the computer system, what their selections have been for courses, we do mail home a course student level verification sheet with both the 3rd and the 4th quarter report cards. And this once again shows you these are the courses that you have selected. It gives you an opportunity and a process if you want to make any changes. We have up until June 28th, Thursday, for parents or students to make any changes to those requests. Once June 28th passes, we're unable to make those recommendations or changes because we've started the scheduling process. So please keep that date in mind of Thursday, June 28th, for schedule course changes. And at this time, that actually concludes our presentation for this evening. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hines right before we break out into our breakout sessions.
Thank you, Mrs. Lynn. As I told you earlier, we're going to have breakout sessions for the various grade levels. And in those sessions, you'll be able to ask questions. We will keep parents of current 9th, incoming 10th, however you view yourselves, we'll keep you here. We're asking parents of current 10th, moving to 11th, move over to the Audion, or you may go out and you already have your questions formulated. They're specifically for a department chair. They're focused around a specific course. You can stop and speak to any of the folks at the tables along the concourse or in the main lobby. And parents of current juniors moving into senior year in September, we're going to ask you to move over to F44, which is the band room, and parents of gifted may go to E22. You do not have to go to any of those locations. You're quite welcome to. You may go directly if you have questions for the folks out in the lobby. You may go directly to them. Or you may stay here and ask questions here. So at this time, I'll let everyone move around to wherever they need or want to be.